going on? It is 9 p.m. on Sunday night on the East Coast. Happy Sunday. I'm Scott Schertzen alongside Mr. Pat Bernard, and joining us forthwith should probably be Mr. Haylon from Five Borough Footy. This is MLS Sportswriters React. We're going to be talking about what's going on now into Week 4 of the Major League Soccer 2025 season. In this case, Mr. Pat Bernard was over at the Philadelphia Union game today, chowing down on Philly cheesesteaks and watching his team kind of struggle at least a little bit on that side of it. But in this case, talk to me, man. How you doing?
You're right. You know, it was supposed to be what I would smell when I was cooking from this Philadelphia Union team. I thought they were going to win easily against this Nashville team. I didn't want to buy into a Nashville team. Yes, they had a big win in the last week against Portland, winning 2-0 at home. I didn't want to buy into it. I didn't want to believe in a Nashville was going to come in here and rough up what looked to be a juggernaut offense. And I didn't think anything of it, but they did their homework. They had this Union team well scouted, and it paid dividends, and it paid off. I mean, they were you look at the defensive side of the ball. They were playing man-to-man coverage. They had them at bay. It was very hard for the Philadelphia Union to make goals. They did a terrific job of being a huge yes, CTH. They did. Listen, and that was one of my questions in the post-game interview. I asked Brad Cornell. I asked Andre Blake. I said, hey, are you guys now worried that the playbook is out on film, that the honeymoon suite is now over? Because Brad Cornell and if you saw his face, it was just priceless. And I said, what's going to be your adjustments now moving forward? Because I imagine St. Louis is going to be here next week. They're going to, find some stuff out. They're going to make their adjustments. And the Union could be in big trouble if they're not, careful. So, I looked at the second half, nothing, no buzz, yes, it got chippy. And that's what I got, again, credit Nashville's defense, getting physical, getting into the minds of the Union players, throwing them off their game. They just couldn't make anything happen. You had one goal from Jovan Lukic, and that was it. He got into a nice tight window, fell in the back of the net. And because you look at the possession of the ball, the Union were in very control of this game. But 2 long stretch passes from Nashville haunted this Union team. And I don't want to butcher his name, Adman Hassan Westcaz, something like that. I don't want to butcher it, but he's starting to cook. He got a goal in this previous game. He got a goal today. They're making things work down there in Nashville, and now they're going to host Montreal coming in. So they could. This was, if anything, this was a momentum booster for that team.
Absolutely. Now in this case here, also, Philadelphia did have the equalizer at 33. But I want to ask you about the Makanya's red card. At the end of the match, basically, he's going to be out for the next match because of red card suspension in this case here. What does that do for this squad, and how do they adapt? And I have another question about St. Louis in a minute, but.
Well, and again, this is right. Again, credit to Nashville. Getting physical, getting to the minds where they were playing very physical, where the Union lost their cool and got in trouble for it, big time trouble. Now that with the red card suspension, who does Jim go to? Or Jim, I'm sorry, who does Bradley go to come off the bench to replace? That's going to be a big question. And I imagine tomorrow, because the Union 2 are going to play, I wonder if they're going to start scouting and see who's ready to step up, because and who's going to be on the parallel with Glazos. So. A lot of questions to be answered.
Now, in this case, here's where I really get curious on this. You look at some, obviously playing St. Louis, you have a team that basically was coached by Bradley Cornell. Will that play a factor, and how much will that actually help the Union? Because, granted, it's a new playbook, it's a new system, but it's still a lot of the old players that he worked with personally, How much do you think that could give an advantage to the Union here? Or would it give advantage to St. Louis?
that is going to be a tell to take right there, because you don't know who's going to benefit more. Hey, listen, we know Bradley Cornell's playbook. We're going to adjust. We just saw Nashville do it. We could do the same thing, if not better, because we know where he's going to execute from and all that stuff. However, when you look at the Union team, I would imagine Bradley Cornell is going to have to dial up something different and make a different approach. Again, Kai Wagner got banged up today. I saw him limping around on the field. Ty Baribo wasn't in there as much. I mean, it was a big question for this Union team moving forward, and it does worry you, because without Ty Baribo really being an X factor, yes. Without Ty Baribo being on the field, the question is who can score.
Mm-hmm.
Miguel Ua, back of the middle today, Daniel Gazdag was nowhere to be found. I mean, he had an opportunity, and again, credit to Nashville. When they were trying to come down Broad Street, they clogged it. They clogged 291, where there was no way to make an entry to the back of the net. And I got right away, and it's weird because it felt like they anticipated the Union's playbook. Like I know now it's a couple. They look to do, if you want to use basketball terms, the alley-oop. One guy makes a long stretch pass, the other guy's right next to the net to make the goal, and they took it away. They took that away, and the Union looked again didn't have an answer, didn't have a counter punch.
I mean, in this case here, obviously, when you look at the goal sheet right here, for the season so far, Ty Baribo was the first player in MLS history to score 6 goals in 3 matches.
Yeah.
Which is a huge thing right there. Obviously, a massive key to the reason why the Union have won 3 out of the first 4, which again is nothing to sneeze at, because there were some accomplished sports writers who were talking about how they were going to miss the postseason. And even with this home loss today, yes, it's disappointing, but they're still in a very good position after 4 games.
Yeah, they're still, like I said, do you take it like as just one loss and you move on, or do you go, hey, does this loss indicate and mean something? It all depends, because this wasn't a tight loss though. This is you lost 3-1, and the team didn't really respond. It didn't, into look, if they would have lost a 3-2 game in the 90th plus minute. Yeah, then I would have looked at them like that. That's just a loss. But the way they got dominated on defense and not having an answer for an offense is concerning. And this is kind of the stuff you want to see. Bradley Cornell is now facing adversity. How's he going to respond after he get knocked down? How does he respond? How does he respond? How does this team respond and move forward? That's going to be the key X factor. What are you going to dial up different? It's going to be difference from the diamond formation, the 4-4-2 formation. Like, what's going to be the big difference from what was the lesson that they learned, and hopefully it was a lesson that he's learned.
Yeah, I mean, right now, like I said, you have to look at this as being, I think, a good lesson for the team anyway. Because again, this is you have all the coach speak. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. One game does not make a season, so on and so forth. But that also works in both ways. When you have a win or an impressive win, one match does not make a season. But this is one of those things where you have to goldfish these sort of things. It was a disappointing loss at home, yes, granted. But you know what? You have to turn it around. You have to accept it. Even the best teams in MLS are probably going to lose at minimum 4 games a year anyway.
Right.
I mean, at a bare minimum. I mean, it usually means 5, 6, 7, but 4 is so okay. The team has 9 points after 4 matches.
Yes.
Big surprise right there. That's actually that's supporter shield, and that might be MLS record. I think point wise, that might be MLS record.
And here's another kicker too. And it does make you think that when you look at this team, like them beating Cincinnati and all this, a lot of those teams are still playing CONCACAF, so they might be catching a lot of those teams fatigue. Maybe this is a real competition game where they're not playing against someone who's in a CONCACAF, where they face someone who is legitimately just not only CONCACAF opponents, but just studying the Union from Monday to Friday and being well prepared, because that's what it looked like. That was the tale of tape for me. It was Nashville SC being prepared. They did their homework, they did their film study, and they learned to beat in the Union. And the Union being undefeated, you have to understand you're the measuring stick. Teams are going to be playing their A game against you. You have to be ready to have a counterpunch. And this team didn't have it today. They fell on their face. And the strikers were not striking. None of them. Like I said, Gazdag, nobody was effective today.
But you know what? It's one of those things that you can never discount Joe Willis.
No.
He has been a staple back there for Nashville for such a long time, and as a guy, he's a very unsung leader, I find, but he's been a staple down for that Tennessee team for a long time now. And a lot of it is coming from his leadership back there, weird porn stash that he may have.
Yes,
he is still an unmitigated talent back there. And I think has a lot to do with what happened today with that.
Yeah, and that kid, Sam Surge, if I'm saying Samuel Surge.
Yeah, Samuel Surge.
He could easily today had 3 goals.
Mm-hmm.
His first goal was beautiful. Again, he got the long stretch pass. He went around 2 defenders and found the back of the net. The one ricocheted off the goalpost. The one he got blocked off by Glasgow. I mean, that kid was sniffing blood in the water a few times. And he's, like I said, this could have easily been a lot worse than what it is, because the Union got away with a few. And it's a shame, because it's like I want to see the Union walk away with a win, being this is Andre Blake's 300th appearance, and not the win. It's not a celebration. And even like when we interviewed Jovan Lukic, and you're talking about how do you feel about the goal, and his response is like, well, to win it means nothing.
Sorry.
So what's up, buddy? So he goes, without the win, it means nothing. So it sucks. It sucks all around.
Well, like I said, in this case here, I mean, you got to go short memory on this. Blake, Gazdag or Uno, they've been down this road 100 times. And this is one of those matches where it's training and lessons for players like Kevin. For both Sullivan boys, I would imagine it's in this case here. But you have to go through these sort of things as a team and accept it for what it is. Now, if they have a match next week and they lose, then now you start to worry a little bit more.
Well, that's going to be in everyone's back of their minds. That's going to be the big question Monday to Saturday. Is this going to be, this is just one loss, we're going to learn from it, or all poop? There's films out, the honeymoon's over for Bradley Cornell, and they discovered our playbook, and we have yet to get up way too early. Like I said, we are very early. We're just about a month in, if anything. But like I said, that's going to be the storyline heading in till Saturday. Yeah.
So, all right, welcome in Haylon Haru from Five Borough Footy. Also, Pat, if you have, I know you got to duck out in a minute. Do you guys have time to watch one video?
Sure. It's going to make me cry.
It is not going to make you cry. It's going to be something that actually is pretty badass. This is something that just came down the pipe. This was a scorpion kick that just came down from the Mexican League here. Tigres Fernel. Yeah. I actually found this through a John Boy video. But did you see?
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
What a kick.
Let me see if I can zoom that in a little bit there.
Because I read the caption, and like I kind of had an idea of what we were going to see, but
wow.
She like,
yeah.
Oh my God.
So it's already making waves on, throughout social media because of that look there. I mean, admittedly, that's probably like 90% luck, 10% talent, but by God, it looks amazing anyway. I'm
trying. The next thing I'm going to is like, if that wasn't exactly what she was intending to do, then what was she intending to do?
It's one of those things where I think it's just you try to redirect it and you strike gold in the moment. Sometimes you redirect, it goes right. Sometimes you redirect and you give New England their first goal of the season.
Yeah. Wow.
You know. So,
Yeah,
but
that's
yeah,
pretty
no, I
amazing.
just want to give a shout out.
My thought is, she shoots a ball like that again. Hey, Mr. Tanner, make a phone call down to Mexico, please.
Right? Yeah.
Make a phone call.
You know,
please do something.
She makes shots like that. You might hear some stuff from the Premier League.
Seriously,
right?
But yeah, like I said, it was just one of those things. I had to throw that out there. But all right, Pat, can you stick around? Or you got to bail.
I got to roll, gentlemen. So, but yeah,
Okay.
like I said, we'll see what happens next week with this Union team if they can respond and get themselves off the canvas. Today was an ugly loss. It sucks. It was on national TV.
It was on Fox,
but maybe it was Fox. So they took the belt whooping today, and hopefully they could turn things around and get things right come Saturday night.
Yeah. Well, appreciate the time as always. At least you had some degree of, fun. It was good weather. Last week was a little more cold in this case.
And Joey Chestnut was down there. So
yeah, I saw that. Yeah, Joe Chestnut was on. Matt Stoney's my food eater of choice, though. I'll be honest. So.
Oh man, it was they were it was popping yesterday. They were dropping hot dogs from the ceiling. It was pretty neat.
That's right, because it was like $1 hot dog night or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was $1 hot dog night, so they were dropping hot dogs out off the roof. Pretty amazing. And like the gobblers,
Glizzy night.
Yeah. So that if anything, that was the only thing that was good at going for the Union today.
Nice. Well, yeah, at least like I said, at least the weather, at least it wasn't raining or snowing. So, yeah.
No, I thought that they were initially calling for rain, so I thought this was going to be a washout. Washout probably would have helped this team today, but yeah, it's nothing played in that favor. So, all right, let me let you guys go. You guys have a great show. Thanks for having
family.
me.
You got work. So, thank you, Pat. Man,
bad meetings go to bed. See you, buddy.
Nice meeting you, Pat.
So, was that your first time talking to him?
Yeah. No, okay. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, right. I think so.
Yeah, he kind of runs the Philadelphia group down there. So, the stuff that we have for like the Philadelphia Wings for lacrosse, Philadelphia Union. He was at Subaru Park today. And then, kind of handles a lot of the other stuff that we have down there, the post-game shows, some of the Pennsylvania, the Pittsburgh content that we have when it comes to like the Riverhounds and everything, for the USL. He kind of monitors a lot of that. So that's Pat Bernard. Cool. Anyway, Haylon, how the heck are you, man?
How are you, man? You good?
Good. So, I want to basically just get your advice or get your input on something. This is the big thing that I really wanted to target in this case right here. An article came out in Forbes recently that Don Garber admitted to basically Garber sounds bullish on MLS expansion after USL Division I news. Now, it's basically you probably have heard there has been talk that we're getting an ad there. Stop playing. That there has been a talk that the USL is going to try and compete with Major League Soccer in the 2027 season to try and take them on 1 year after World Cup. Garber has countered with the fact that he believes that MLS should be on an expansion, should continue to go past 30 teams in the league right now, which, by the way, in this case, NFL, by comparison, has 32. So, A, do you think it should happen? B, where does it go? And C, what do you think would happen if it does happen?
Okay. Well, firstly, the sport being this disjointed in this country, immediately that's a horrible starting place, right? That's a horrible starting place. The fact that there's one body essentially in most other countries, and they all have an agreed upon kind of structure when it comes to promotion and relegation. To me, that there's something to that allows for it to function as a conduit of talent. So there's a lot more access for people of every walk of life to be able to get into the pro game. I have, I don't think I've spoken to you about this, but I do believe that the future of this sport, it lies in promotion and relegation. I mean, the sport in America, at least. And there's some folks who are staunchly against it. They believe that the American audience will not take to that very well, and I can see why some would believe that. Um, but I still feel like without those stakes, it's those stakes that makes the game exciting. At least with like when we're talking about Everton fighting
Mhm.
relegation and possibly getting knocked out of the Premier League for the first time in a billion years or however long it was. Um, it storylines like that, stakes like that, it kind of ups the ante for the entertainment factor when it comes to, watching a game. It makes a goal mean something, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and it would be interesting if, in my ideal, goofy world where there's promotion and relegation in this country, if you were to see like San Jose finally kind of reap what they've been sowing by kind of cruising and being the Pluto on the outskirts of the galaxy of the MLS and having to go down to a Division 1, a Division 2, and fight their way back up. Like
Mhm.
they've been there, like San Jose has been there since the beginning, right? As far as I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
one of the
So
original. They are in sixth place this year to start, though. They've made some good additions, so I have some degree of hope. But
yeah, but it's I don't know. How many the Premier League has 20 teams?
yes.
And just there's something about having such a tight number
Mhm.
that makes it feel exclusive. When you start to
Oh,
get
what
up
was going
to
on?
what's going on here?
There we go. I'm trying. I'm
So when
trying to
you
zoom out on that, and by zooming in, you're trying to zoom in on the image. It actually zoomed it out. Weird. Anyway, there you
mm,
go.
mm. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's if but like I said, there are people whose job, their whole career is to make decisions
Mhm.
about this stuff that are, they know much more about it than I do. But that's just my personal take on it.
Yeah, fair. I mean, right now, I can't say it's the right idea. I can't say it's the wrong idea.
What
Actually, no.
is?
I will lean to. I don't think it's the right idea. Because I think the
Mm,
more players you add, the more you're likely to saturate the product and get those
hmm
perennial, bottom dwellers. You see it in Major League Baseball going into the season. The Pittsburgh Pirates are probably not going to go anywhere. And
hmm
or the Reds are going to suffer coming out of the gate. Maybe you might get some surprises here and there, but by
hmm
and large, the more teams you have, the less, the more opportunities there are, sure, and the more paydays there are, but also sometimes players that might not be at that level now are. And if you look at the map here and what the territorial breakdown is, there was some talk about Vegas being a possibility because, of course, Vegas. Why not? Everything's
Of
going to Vegas,
course,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Indianapolis was on the map possibly as well.
hmm
Um, maybe. I mean, my silly little opinion, and I know it'll never happen, but what team, what city or what area really needs a professional sports team? Like Montana, North Dakota, Wyoming, these places, they have no Major League Baseball team, no NFL team, no NBA team, no NHL team, no MLS
hmm
team. All of the stuff there is college and high school. I understand that they don't have the fan base, they don't have the population, but you know what? Give Montana a team, will you please? I don't care. Make
I
it
can,
Eastern
yeah.
Montana, like away from Seattle. In that little tiny, speck of space right there. Um, where you kind of see like the corner where in the Colorado Rapids territory. Um,
hmm
I
hmm
would love to see Montana get a team. It won't, but I'd love to see it. And I think the entire state would probably get behind it really, really well.
You think
But
so?
I think they would because they don't have anything. It reminds me a little bit of when back in 2020, my first year of kind of doing stuff like this, I covered the XFL at the time. I think I told you. But one of the teams that was actually outdrawing the former Stanley Cup champion in that city was St. Louis because St.
Okay.
Louis had lost, twice. They lost the Cardinals to Arizona, and then they ended
hmm
up losing the Rams, who went back to LA. And as a result, they
Oh,
twice lost an NFL team. So when the Battlehawks came in, they gravitated. They just took to it hard. And believe it or not, this XFL team in its first season was drawing better viewer and better numbers than the St. Louis Blues, who had just won the Stanley Cup that year.
Oh, wow.
You know, and that's where I almost wonder if a team in, say, Montana might
These places
surprise you.
that are crying out for something to support. Yeah.
Dude, yeah, they got nothing. And the kind of waves that you might get when you finally get a team up there. I mean, okay, the fan base, would have a long travel to go to stadiums, granted, but if you created some kind of executive package, a pay-per-view deal, or some kind of, I really hate paywalls, but if you did a paywall, I think a lot of people might pay for something like that because they don't have anything up there.
How difficult do you think the geography makes it to do the sport here?
Incredibly
How
difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's incredibly difficult to do so, which is why it hasn't been done. But I just
Hmm.
think about the citizens that live up there and the fact
Hmm.
that they really don't have anything. I mean, if you're in like Southeast Montana there, you've got pretty much nothing. I mean, it's college sports, it's high school sports. That's about it,
Yeah.
granted, but I don't know. I just like to see one attempt and see what happens in any sport. I don't even care. But
Yeah.
for MLS, I think it would be, I don't know where else you can go. Indianapolis, okay, maybe. But Kansas City's already taken. St. Louis is already taken. Yeah.
See, like when it comes to um a decision like that, it makes sense to go to obviously the DCs, the
Mhm,
Atlantas, the LAs, and New Yorks, because these are outside of soccer, they're just huge hubs. They're
mhm.
major cities, right? But sometimes the decision was made because soccer is a significant thing to the city,
Mhm.
right? It had been before the club was even an idea for it. Like, to my knowledge, soccer is pretty big in Seattle. Soccer
Oh,
is
it's
pretty
huge.
huge in Portland as well. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so, and it's huge in the Bay Area with San
Mhm.
Jose. So those franchises made sense. So I worry about potentially shoehorning a club into a place where there isn't a love for the game.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Well, Maine is going to get a USL team next year, I believe it is.
Okay.
So they're on the expansion on there, which should be interesting.
Hmm.
But yeah, Seattle takes to their teams big time.
Mm,
Mariners, obviously the Seahawks in a big way. But you look at the map there. Texas already has 3 teams.
yeah.
Atlanta's got. Tennessee's got. It's like where do you put a team at this point? I mean, Indianapolis maybe, but then you have to compete with 2 teams in Ohio and also another team over in Illinois with Chicago. So I don't know where they can put. Could you put another team in Canada? You've got 3 up top.
Maybe,
You got
yeah.
3 up there. I mean, maybe
But
Winnipeg.
doesn't that complicate the travel a little bit more?
It totally would.
You
And
know?
100% would. But I don't know where you can do this, and I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
they've looked into possibly like trying to do. Could they do Mexico? Probably not. Could they do Puerto Rico?
Mm-mm.
Puerto Rico might take to it.
Maybe.
You
Actually,
know,
maybe.
that's the
That's a
only
good
thing.
idea. But that's tough travel wise, dude.
Yeah, I
That's
listen. I'm
so
not saying
tough.
it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean,
No, but culture wise, you're right. A
yeah,
hundred
and
percent.
and it's also a
They would take
territory
to
that
it.
doesn't have sports, like
Yeah.
major
Yeah.
professional sports. I mean, baseball and a few of the other sports have tried it. With like an exhibition game or like professional games down there.
Hmm.
But boy, I don't know, man.
For me, that's expansion is no longer a necessary
Yeah.
thing that they need to focus on. I think what they probably need to start working on is having discussions with the USL and any other, just anywhere the soccer exists in a professional or semi-professional capacity in America. Discussions need to like real adult discussions. If you no, I'm serious, because like I worry that there's a little bit of greed going on here, and that's why real adult discussions can't be had. But I'm like, if they really care about the sport growing, like for real, then they would come to the table and really discuss like what does it look like to consolidate all of these teams into some sort of promotion
Oof.
relegation structure, you know?
Yeah.
Because then that map looks completely different when you start to consider a USL team that might be able to move up to the MLS.
Sure.
You get what I'm saying? Or vice versa, an MLS team moving down to a lower division, you know?
Let me pull up the USL map. So There's USL's area right now.
There you go.
So
There you go. So like,
I mean, it's all predominantly lower end, but
mhm.
yeah, I mean that's you have a lot of opportunity there. Again, Portland's out, Seattle's or Washington State is out, but I mean that whole northern area up there is just not touched.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
if you want to expand, that's where you expand into with the
mhm.
if like you make the MLS the Prem, right? And then you go USL Championship or League One or however you want to organize that, and you expand those leagues. You don't. I don't think I think you keep the MLS at like. Yeah, I think you follow the Prem model. I think you go 20, maybe 24 teams,
Mhm.
and you just work it that way.
Now I'm looking at the expansion for USL in 2026. Brooklyn is getting a team right now.
Okay.
Sporting Jacksonville, Santa Barbara, California. Santa Barbara Sky's getting one.
Another California team. Goodness.
Yeah, in League One, Texoma Football Club,
Mhm.
by the Gronkowski family. Westchester. Okay, so
But
Mount
look at
West,
that. You said by the Gronkowski family?
the Gronks. Yeah,
No way. Like as in like
as
New
as,
England
as,
Patriots
as in
Gronks.
as in Robin. I think what is it? Dan Gronkowski.
That's amazing. See, I love that because that's what it ought to look like. It should look like if we're gonna build the sport and marry the two concepts, and American athletic culture and soccer, we should have American ownership and ex-athletes, and I love that. I love that.
Yeah, so that's like I said.
Yeah.
That's yeah. I'm just looking at the Wikipedia page in this case. Yeah, it's down another team down in Texas. But also in this case, Westchester and the Mount Vernon area is going to be getting one. Possible other League One expansion teams: AV Alta, FC Naples, Portland Hearts of Pine. Okay, the Portland one
Portland.
that was the main one I talked about in Maine, Portland, Maine. Corpus Christi, New Jersey's getting one. We're finally actually getting a sports team of our own that doesn't involve like any kind of like Devils or anything like that. Finally,
Mhm.
Fort Wayne, Corpus Christi, and Spokane is on track. So all of these teams in USL. Now, in your case, you're too young to remember this, I think. But when I was a kid, we had the
Thank you for
USL.
that compliment.
Oh no problem. Like I said, in this case here, if you look behind me, if you see those cups back there, those are that's all right. Yeah, you see there's a little bit of a good example. Those cups back there are New Jersey Generals cups. They got 7-Eleven back in the day.
Okay.
Because back in the day we had the USFL going up against the NFL, and the USFL at the time had unknown players such as Reggie White, Jim Kelly, Steve Young, Herschel Walker, and a bunch of others in the USL. Doug Flutie was in there too. A lot of future established players and Hall of Famers, and the two were supposed to do one of these until the USFL promptly folded. So I have
What year was this?
83 to 85.
Oh wow.
Broke my heart when I lost my New Jersey Generals. And then the Generals
Oh
came back and the
wow.
USFL came back and they left the second time. But
Damn.
I was a diehard Generals fan because it was Doug Flutie, it was Herschel
Oh
Walker,
wow.
Maurice Carthon, who played with the Giants,
Yeah.
Roger Ruzek, who was the kicker for Philadelphia Eagles for a while. So it was a mainstay of my childhood because it was spring football. And the
Mhm.
original plan was that it was going to overtake the NFL. So I have seen this war before, and it usually doesn't end well. So the
Like
USL,
let's be honest, the MLS in a any the USL might not win this, right? But I like the statement that they're making
yeah,
because again, in the conversations that I have with other our colleagues, members of the media, who about when it comes to promotion and relegation, and they just flat out think it's not realistic.
mhm,
Um, Simply because they feel like the way that Americans like to watch their sports, they don't want to have to watch their team lose and get relegated. It's just too much loss. But I think first off, that's underestimating the devotion of the average American sports fan. I actually think the average American sports fan is actually down to follow their team to
mhm.
into a relegation battle or through into a lower league, and I
I
feel like it's not that unrealistic.
I don't know because I mean if you look at like Europe, or I'll use like Australia with like the AFL, Australian Football League or things like this. So much of it is based on your territory and where you live, because using Premier League and all this kind of stuff, you have a loyalty to your home turf kind of a thing, because
Right.
by and large over there you have obviously soccer or football, and then lower below that you have like cricket or rugby, or American baseball is in there, American football is in there, the lower. But right now, soccer is really like the king of kings there. And as a result, you have a loyalty to your home turf and that team. Here, I mean, we have so many different sports in this area alone that it's like, okay, well, this team got relegated. It's baseball season. Yankees are going, and then, you wait long enough, and for better or for worse, the Giants and the Jets are going. So I don't know if the relegation thing is going to be as impactful, because we have so many different options here. And also, I think we have less city loyalty than, like, say, people in, like, say, London or, West Ham or any place, or, West Hampton, any place like that might have.
I feel like you're right. There's less city loyalty, and unique to soccer is like how much you love your city is how much you're gonna love your club.
Mm-hmm.
Um, probably probably magnified 1,000 times. But you're right about that. But I feel like whatever love that or lack of allegiance that people have to their cities, they dump it into their team. I know people who are transplants to Pittsburgh, transplants to New York, and because they spent their young adulthood in that, because they spend a portion of their life that matters to them.
Week 4 League, Sports League is trying to do the thing to appeal to international audiences, while you argue that MLS should do the same thing to appeal to the American audience. Yeah, you got a point. Fair. So, yeah. But I mean,
It's
again,
really interesting.
Yeah. Again, in this case, like I said, though, there's so many teams. I just wonder if it's going to soften the product a little bit.
It is.
I mean, listen, I
think we both agree. I think we both agree that it does oversaturate the market. And the fact that there's, on top of that, like, if you have a bad season, so what?
Yeah.
You're still you're gonna be fine. There's no real stakes. Like, I don't know. It's there's something about the looming threat that sometimes makes something more exciting. And I think that that's unique to soccer. I think you don't find that in any other sport. And I think to try to pretend as if it's not an important part of the professional soccer league structure is unrealistic. You can't just keep pumping new teams into it and expect it to catch the way you want it to catch,
Yeah. I mean, also, I wonder, like I said, obviously with the whole Messi, deal, we've talked about that one in the past, where the Messi impact, I don't think has been as strong as they expected it to be. And
it's not, and it's because of the paywall thing with Apple TV. But
100%, yes.
Different thing. Yeah.
I mean, they had that one video where, what was it, Doechii, I think it is, the rapper, during the Super Bowl pregame show, talking about the MLS season. I think it was a great idea to do to basically segue it in. But it was during the pregame show when, like, nobody's actually really watching the commercials at that point.
Yeah.
Footy fans are more inclined to format an expansion than
well, like,
you just talked about relegation too.
To that point, right? There are MLS fans. There are way more Americans who are fans of soccer who don't watch MLS but watch the foreign leagues, that watch Premier League, that watch Serie A, that watch La Liga. Why? Because they like how they do the sport there. And part of that, included in that, is promotion and relegation. Right?
And
part of that is
time slot.
And time slot. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, because it's playing in Europe, a lot of times these matches could be playing here in the U.S. at an earlier time, 10, 11, 12 o'clock kind of thing. So there's no real competition going on at that time. So you're just like, all right, you know what? I don't know anything about this Arsenal team, but it's on. I'll put it on in the background.
But because don't mind my light, by the way, it died.
Oh, no, dude, you're fine. You're fine.
But okay, you said there's no competition, right? You're 100% correct about that. What stops them from watching MLS then?
because it's on at a different time. I mean, Messi was on tonight at I think it was 4:30. So people on the East Coast by this point, we're already in the middle of stuff. Maybe they're going to eat dinner at that point, or they're in the middle of their day. Again, forgetting paywall part of it. I mean, on the West Coast, it would be 1:30 in the afternoon. But
there
again,
are people who will put the game on
Atlanta versus Inter Miami, so nobody, the West Coast is going to get hurt that way. But it's also, like I said, a Sunday afternoon. Now, I remember a conversation I had with Brad Sims about this, and I was like, are they trying and spread this out a little bit to allow more matches to be seen on a wider range and pull what like the NFL is doing, where you make a day of it? And they said, yes, they're doing that, which is why we had, I think, 3 games today and a bunch yesterday, all spattered throughout, because it allows the opportunity to see more. Again, paywall, we've been down that road. They can't get out of that until 2027 anyway, which is why I think that is happening, because the USL is like, they're hurting their attendance. We're over here too.
Yeah.
And I think
it's going to have an impact. I think the MLS is underestimating the impact of this, of the USL taking the average American soccer fan who doesn't watch the MLS. They're taking them seriously. They know what kind of soccer they want to see, and so they're creating a construct that will appeal to them. And that, to me, is actually gonna it might prove to be something surprisingly successful.
It's going to be interesting to see where this goes. I mean, if they did a relegation, I think a lot of fans would be able to. Yeah, sure.
Sorry.
I think that's good. Let's go. I'll just switch to myself for now. I think if relegation were to happen, I think that would it would make things a lot more interesting. And I think it would be a good opportunity to showcase what a team can do when honestly there's a fire under their ass. And you'd have to have some kind of a rule in place. You'd have to have something that you maybe 1 year, I wouldn't say 1 year, but maybe, and I'm just shooting from the hip right here, combined points or record or something like that over the course of 2 or 3 seasons to force that relegation there. I mean, a one and done, I feel, might be too quick on that. Feel free to disagree. Anybody can feel free to disagree on that. Maybe a 2-year system instead. But yeah, I mean, it would force teams to have to get better. I think honestly, if Major League Baseball had relegation, I think that would really change the league.
Like if there are some people that think that that's an unrealistic structure, how much can we depend on the stragglers just stagnating and allowing these clubs to go to ruin? You know what I mean? Because they know that there's not going to be any real penalty for having a club that's falling short of expectations. You know what I mean?
And I think also at the same time, I mean, given what NWSL has been able to do ratings wise on top of it, let's see, letting your TV. Yep. I think it would help the league grow tremendously. From what media executives say, the league is still grown despite the crappy Apple TV deal. Yes, the attendance in stadium has gone up, I think, like 8 to 10% every year. It has been very impressive.
From what I've heard, the MLS, I mean, from what I've heard, this was on The Athletic. It's the third most, I think it's the third most watched league in the world.
MLS?
Or third most attended. Yeah, one of the two. Third most attended or third most watched. Like, it's one of those two. And that really, really surprised me. It was the Prem and then something else and then the MLS. Feel free to double check that. Fact check me on that.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at something right now on that. Yeah, last year averaged 23,000. Year before that, still loading. So, let's see. I can't pull it up. I thought I can pull it up like I wanted to.
Is that your laundry?
Yeah, sorry, I got to turn that off. Sorry about that. Yeah, so 2023 was averaging 22,001. 20 across the entire league, per every match. To 22-1 went up to 23-3. And here, this is, by the way, I'm pulling this off of transfermarket.us. And then so far this year, we're at 22-336, but the season just started. But Atlanta and Charlotte are still doing their job, because Atlanta is averaging 54,000 a game. That's just nuts, man. Kudos to Atlanta, man. You know, Charlotte's doing 39,000, which I knew that they were pretty high up there too, and usually that's 1-2 in the league.
Imagine Atlanta being in a relegation battle.
Oh boy, you know.
Packed stadium.
Actually, ironically, this is interesting, but NYCFC is currently 5th in the league right now. Only 2 matches in, but at 25-8. I don't know what they got last night though. I don't think
Nonetheless,
they got like 13,000.
nonetheless, I'm just giving credence to that point that the league is growing.
Mm-hmm.
From what Alec actually, my colleague at Fiveborough, he's told me numerous times that it's currently the fastest growing in popularity soccer league.
It could be, you know.
Yeah, and
I mean,
just I don't know. It's getting to a point where now let's start to consider what does this sport look like as a full on entity in this country. It can't we can't have like it doesn't make sense to have this league over here and then this league over here and there's no how do we decide who's better and what if your kid wants to be a professional footballer like where what's his pathway you know what I mean.
Well, you latch onto an academy and go from there. But this is where I think when it comes to the United Football League, which will be starting up pretty soon. I mean, I think they got it right. You know, the XFL and then the USFL, they merged. I think they got it right because they acknowledged pretty much straight up, we are AAA NFL. You know, that's what it is. That's what we are. We're a training ground where these players can basically get a salary, play on a national stage, and have scouts watch them constantly. And they know their plays. You know, and so, and I think that's what works there really well. I give Rock and Danny Garcia credit there, but
Top 3 league in attendance, and they far outside the top 5 for most watched leagues.
Interesting. All right. So I wonder if it might be in the international numbers. If you have a link for that, let me know. I'd appreciate that. I'll give you credit for that too. But I mean, I'm just, could it be a lot of the international stuff on there too? Because so many players from Argentina are playing here or, Europe or things like this, where they have, again, a hardcore loyalty. I think I told you last night that Alonso Martinez, Costa Rica loves that kid. Any content that's up there, they go crazy because he is their hero in a lot of ways. So he's.
I also give a lot of credit to the people who they act like they have no respect for the MLS, but they watch it. They watch it. They secretly watch it. Yeah, absolutely. So, thank you for giving us some more viewership.
So let me ask you this. I'm going to basically, ask you a question. I'm going to pop out, take care of that laundry. You're just going to open the door so it doesn't beep more. Right now, if USFL, if the USL and MLS go head to head, and I'm saying used to you and also D Pro Sport, in this case here, where do you see this in the next 3 to 5 years? Can they collab or will or basically one shall stand, one shall fall? Right back.
Oof. So I do feel like it depends on, like I said, whether or not they're willing to come to the table. If they're not willing to come to the table, the USL will burn itself out trying to compete with the MLS. It just won't be able. It's just too much money involved in the MLS for it to truly compete with it. Whereas if they are willing to, I think it's going to come to a point where the World Cup. We're hosting the World Cup. The world's eyes are on the country, and the world is going to finally, after all these years of trying their best to pretend as if we're not playing the game here, they're going to have to finally look in our direction and go, okay, what's the state of soccer in America right now? The world is going to be doing that. And we're going to have a real answer. You know what I mean? We're going to get called upon by the world soccer community to come up with an answer for like, hey, how are you treating our sport there? How are you treating the thing that we love? And I think around then is when the conversations need to start happening. USL. I'm sure again, USL they seem more reasonable.
Hmm.
Whoever is running things over this, they seem more reasonable. So to me, it seems as if like the MLS will again function as like the top tier, and the USL should be rolled in as like a second and third division. I don't know what does the NASL, is that still a thing?
NASL still around. Yeah, the United States Soccer League or Soccer League still around. So
Hmm.
there are smaller ones that are there.
Yeah,
And then of course to say nothing about like the MLS Next Pro,
right.
developmental leagues and
Yeah,
everything like that. So yeah.
yeah. So it's there's some sort of
Let's see, USF surpassing MLS because the head start MLS has gotten, fair enough, in terms of popularity, amount of teams, and also major cities on top of it.
hmm
Mount Vernon, New
hmm
York versus New York City, like we are here.
exactly, exactly.
Jacksonville, Florida, versus Inter Miami. Although
The
Jacksonville's fairly the biggest
talents,
one, right?
the
So,
talent, the talents are too deep into
yeah.
these major cities for it to truly be able to compete. So
Yeah.
it's a non-conversation. Like the MLS is the big dog on the block,
Hmm.
but they also are a danger to themselves depending on how they handle this expansion urge.
Hmm.
If they continue thinking that that's the way forward, they might end up making themselves a little bit bloated,
Hmm.
you know, and ruining a good thing.
And back to the expansion part of it we just talked about.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, maybe Puerto Rico could be actually Puerto Rico. I think if you can figure out the travel part of it, that's probably a
Dude, the
really good one.
travel would be insane though, man.
Oh, I know, I know.
Travel would be insane.
That's why I wasn't saying Hawaii either, or God help me, Alaska.
Dude, the travel would be insane.
Yeah.
There's truth be told, man, there's some parts of America that just won't be able to be blessed by the
Mhm.
beautiful game. It just won't.
Yeah.
They're just hard to reach. They're too hard to reach.
Now, in this
Eh,
case, let me show you something here. Since Streampunk does a lot when it comes to national lacrosse, this is the league map for national lacrosse. So you got Saskatchewan way up there. You got, I think the Edmonton or the Roughnecks. So you've got kind of a wide spread there in NLL,
yeah.
and they will travel. The Firewolves, of Albany will go up to Saskatchewan, where the temperature I think is currently a balmy -10 at the moment. Dude, I got a writer up there who handles that. He was talking about it was -38 degrees one day, and it was at Celsius or Fahrenheit. It's like they're the same at that point. But in this case here, you could make the logistics on the travel there because even I think going from say Colorado, from Denver, Colorado to say Saskatchewan, that's probably a 4-ish hour flight, I would imagine,
Mm,
and that's the closest one from like U.S. to Saskatchewan. But I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think the travel could be figured out. Maybe you do something where a Puerto Rican team would have 3 or 4 or 5 games in a row at home, and then everybody just flies
mhm,
in, flies out. Maybe something like that could be done. You group it together. I don't know, but
yeah. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, and like you just said, it's the bullish expansionness
mhm.
of it is very scary.
The
It's
hubris,
very
is
scary.
the word I think I'm
Yeah.
looking. So
There we go. The
yeah, that'll
hubris.
work. So yeah, we'll take a look and we'll see what ends up happening there. Um, Probably going to figure we'll try to start wrapping this up
Did
because
you
it's already.
wanna
Yep, good sir.
did you want to talk a little bit about the game?
The NYCFC.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do a quick minute or three. Let me just pull this out here. That did not sound the way I meant that to, so I'm going to rephrase that.
Hey,
Um,
yo.
eh, so, but yeah, start off with
First
Alonso.
off, first off, Alonso with
Yeah,
this scissor
yeah,
kick. Like
yeah.
here's what Alonso is evolving into for me. He's not your he's not a there's some strikers who they're just front men.
Mm-hmm,
They show up in the very obvious striker spaces, and they do more than just score goals.
mm-hmm,
And Alonso has gotten better in possession, a lot
mm-hmm.
better. But what I love that he's kind of evolved to is being a damn good poacher.
Yes.
he just disappears for long stretches of time, and you think, damn, is he even having a good game right now? And then randomly will do something like that, you know? And really, all the guy needs is a couple chances.
Mhm.
He only ever needs a couple chances. He's
Yeah,
very
I mean,
efficient.
there's the stats right now. Let me zoom this out a tiny bit. So right now, I mean,
What?
overall, he's tied for third in the league with goals. Behind Ty Baribo and Kuipers.
Mm,
And in a good, alongside Dreyer, Christian Benteke, who for Golden Boot winner last year. I mean, there's a good cadre of people there. So this
hmm
kid is really showcasing what he is capable of, which is both,
Yeah.
I think, a good thing and possibly a bad thing, depending on how this plays out. Because if he keeps doing this, he might be on his way out. That's the problem with MLS there.
Yeah, it's definitely a selling league.
I mean,
And New York City FC is a very much a selling team.
yeah.
We're happy
Well,
to let go of a guy for the right price.
yeah. Well, listen, $17 million for Santi Rodriguez. That was more than what Cucho got. Cucho was 16. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
It was a Godfather offer, is what you call it. Yeah.
Dude, you know what? You got it. What I call Steve Miller. I'm dating myself on this one a little bit, but go on, take the money and run.
hmm
So, yeah. But yeah, 17 mil. I mean, the team yesterday, NYCFC did overcome a massive burp in the beginning when it came to uh, Thiago Martin's inadvertent own goal,
Yeah.
which,
I wanted to talk about that really quick.
okay.
That there was someone pointed it out to me. I felt this, and then in conversation with some guys at the stadium that yesterday, uh, he pointed it out. Is he said typically this team last year go at home, they go down from an own goal,
Hmm.
they would deflate, and that one would become
Hmm.
two and would become three, and we'd lose badly.
Yeah,
And the biggest takeaway I have now from that game, yeah, Alonso had a great game. Yes, Hannes, is two goal contributions in two games in a row, but the mental fortitude of the guys
hmm
to be able to go down one from a pretty in not the best way, and to just rally and keep playing their game. And I don't know, man. I like what they demonstrated in as far as like the ability to stay focused on the task at hand.
there's a different energy about this team this year than it was last
There
year.
is. There
I think
is.
there's a toughness that wasn't that, where maybe Nick Cushing would have been a little bit more accepting of certain things,
hmm
and been I think was it you that said the good guy uncle?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Where in this case here, he's the disciplinarian who's like, no, this shit ain't gonna fly.
But the funny thing is like this team has had disciplinarians before.
Mm-hmm.
Dome, Patrick Vieira, but they were
Ronnie
fire and
Tyler even too,
brimstone.
yeah.
Dyla even? Oh. Um, but Pascal is he's whereas like Patrick Vieira is the type to say, "Go get my belt," you
Mm-hmm.
know. Pascal is the type to take away your television privileges and explain to you why. You
Yeah.
know, you get what I'm saying? Like
Oh
you'll
yeah.
get punished, but it won't feel. Well, did you put up a comment just now?
Oh, I did. Yeah. Want to put it back?
Oh, yes,
There.
please. You
There.
know, so he
Sorry,
never
covers
Christian
half
he
your
takes
face here.
advantage. She's managed great passes. Yeah. Oh, and speaking of the rebound opportunities, I'm sorry if I didn't finish my previous point. Yeah, and I want to talk about the instincts really quick, and then we can get out of here. First
All right.
thing, Keaton. A
There.
big thing I feel like we've needed from Keaton is listen. He's an eight, right?
Mm-hmm.
He can play six, and he has a good nose for finding attacking space.
Mm-hmm.
That's we all know that, but he's an eight by definition. And for me, what I want from my eights, especially in a possession-based system, is I want you to be able to carry the ball. And by the numbers, he was not. Looking at last year's numbers, he was not one of the bigger carriers of the ball. He would progress the ball through carrying it very often.
Mm-hmm.
What he progressed the ball doing was through passing, which is great, right? He wanted to function as a pivot, right? As some sort of
Mhm.
fulcrum and a conduit for passing, for possession. But not every situation that you receive the ball in is the right one for passing. There's going to be moments where you have to, move, dribble, carry for a bit, upset the structure of the opponent's shape.
Mhm.
And in the Inter Miami game, again, early in the season, it's unfair to judge anyone by that, but we went down a man and it did not feel sorry, we
Mhm.
went up a man and it did not feel like we were up a man. And if there was any place that we should feel like we had the advantage, it should have been in midfield. And there were moments where Keaton would receive the ball and he would kind of stand on it.
Mhm.
And there would be acres of space in front of him because Inter had to give that space because they were down a man, and he wouldn't take it. That's the rule. That's the number one rule. If you have space in front of you, take it. Right. And some chances went begging because he wouldn't do that. And now going back to that goal, that Alonso goal, Heaton receives the ball at the top of the box, and he decides to kind of let me interpret this space. Let me see what can
Mhm.
come from this. And the fleet-footedness that we always knew that Keaton had. He's a very good tight space possessor of the ball, right? So when he starts to navigate into that area looking for a shot, and he also got a shot off, it doesn't matter that it didn't go in. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter that it got blocked. It created problems. It created trouble, and everyone's attention is on that moment. That
Exactly.
allows for Alonso, our poacher, to sneak around to the backside and shiv him with a scissor.
They're getting more opportunities off of rebounds, and the goal you're talking about right there, the Alonso goal, is a perfect example because it
Yeah,
went right off the goalkeeper's right hand and
yeah,
opened up right and went airborne, which allowed the
yeah,
perfect window for Alonso. This is something that I think last year, maybe a year prior, the ability to pounce and go in on a rebound. Rebounds are just
yeah,
as important on that, and that's where a
yeah,
lot of NYCFC's goals this year have
yeah,
come from a second chance opportunity.
yeah. There was
By the
a
way,
there was another Alonso goal. I think it was the last game
mhm,
that came off of exactly that. It was
yep,
a shot from the edge. The keeper blocked it, and he got the rebound. It's
he
still
was like
in.
4 feet away. I think it was something like that.
Legit. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to point out the pictures that I've been posting right here. These came from both Ernesto Diaz and
Oh,
Diego.
I recognize them. Yeah,
So yeah, you met those two last night. I think, or at least you know them a little bit. So
they're
these are
very
pictures
cool.
from them. Yeah. So
They're very cool.
that, by the way, is interesting because I talked to Tiago about that. Um, this was last night, which is confusing me a little bit because he
Hmm.
brought that soccer ball home for his kid last week. Unless he got a second soccer ball, like a little tiny soccer ball, but he just grabbed this picture. I'm like, okay. So we've got, like I
That's
said, these
very
are the
cool.
kind of stuff that these guys have been pulling here. This one, Meech's. I love this shot. My God.
Oh, speaking of Micha,
Hmm.
Micha is having a hell of a season so far,
Yes.
man. And not just from a, basic goals and
Hmm.
assists perspective. I'm talking from eye test. Like if you're watching him,
Hmm.
he's so much better in his decision making on the ball. And I was pointing this out, and I actually spoke to him after the game about this. I was pointing this out to Alec that Nick was trying to use him the exact same way.
Hmm.
If there was anything that Micha was ever going to be for this team, he was going to be a box to box overlapping fullback,
Hmm.
right? Functioning as a winger in that way, right? Adding width. But last season, he seemed it just wasn't coming off.
Hmm.
The rare moments where the overlap would come off and he would get a chance to get onto the ball, the passes that he would send in would rarely ever make it through to any
Yep.
dangerous areas, right? And this year, he seems, first off, far more efficient at it, but not by chance. It
Hmm.
seems deliberate. It seems like that was a development it goes hand in hand, I think, with the new manager. Like
Oh yeah.
it is a difference between having a coach go, "Hey, I want you to be doing this," and another coach going, "Hey, here's how you do this."
Hmm.
You get what I'm saying? And I think that is the difference between Nick and Pascal is that um yes, Nick identified that that's what Micha ought to be doing or can do for the team, but Pascal has come in and said, okay, if this is what you want to do for the team, this is how you could best be used. Here's how you do it. Look for these triggers. These are the moments. These are the shapes that you should be looking for to
Mhm.
time your run. And it's clear that he has a much better understanding of that type of stuff. And also picking his moments, because that's really the main skill, right? The number one skill isn't how you dribble, how you shoot, whatever, striking the ball, whatever. It's your decision making. It's
Mhm.
knowing when and when not to. And and it's all relative to your position. And Micha now seems to know when and when not to do the thing. Does
Mhm.
that make sense?
Yes. And I
Like
think now in his third year stateside, I think he's really
third,
starting to
yeah.
adapt.
Yeah.
Third, I think it's three.
Yeah, I think it's three. Yeah.
So, but yeah, he's starting to grow into his own in this case here. And,
Yeah.
sometimes when you have, a new coach, it's a new voice. It's like parenthood. You could say something, don't touch the hot stove, don't touch the hot stove, burn yourself,
Yeah.
but then suddenly, a relative or a friend says, don't touch the hot stove. You're like, okay, it's the same exact
Hmm.
verbiage, but from this
Yeah,
different
yeah.
person, suddenly it's gospel. And I think that's
Yeah.
where coaches are in many ways parents, where they have to kind of, do this. And eventually the kids do get tone deaf, and I think where Pascal Janssen's a little bit different from Nick Cushing is that he is not afraid to make the team realize that, the team is more important.
Hmm.
I mean, Agustino Ojeda lost his starting spot last week because he showed up late.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
team
But
first is
but
the exact quote.
it also wasn't a situation where he was made to feel frozen out either, because he
Mhm.
still got minutes that game.
Sure.
You get what I'm saying? He just didn't start.
Yeah.
And I like that. It's like, hey, you're receiving a punishment. There's going to be a cause and effect to your actions and your behavior, but it's not going to be the kind of thing where you have to walk on eggshells
Yep.
and worry about the pendulum swinging over your head.
hmm
He
The
understands
best
his
thing he
role, man.
understands is his role and he embraces it. He really got hyped at a deflection near the end of the go.
Yeah, yeah, the
Yeah.
chest bump. I remember that when he chest bumped Tana, I think.
Yeah.
And even Tana's gotten better.
Yep. Tennessee David.
Even
He
Tana's
had a
gotten
rough
better.
start last year. He really did.
Oh man, he
Mhm.
had I wouldn't say just a rough start. He had just a rough year, man. He was not really good at all last year. But
But
he's much better this year.
I just
Burke getting a run at left back was interesting.
I just really like the shot.
Burke getting a run at left back was interesting. It makes sense. He's a pacey guy, he's a left footer,
Mhm.
he's a good passer. Those three things combined, of course you could play an elbow back that pushes up into that left half space and delivers some long balls, whatever, That's exactly an option that I think Burke offers.
Mhm.
Um, Justin,
Yep.
man, Justin's so good, man. Justin's so good. We're very fortunate that Justin has found his feet in this point in the narrative for the team, because now more than ever we need some sort of consistency on that back line.
Well, he was pissed about his playing time last year. You can
Yeah,
tell in
as
this
he
picture, he's pretty pissed also. There's a
uh,
dude of focus right there, man.
there's something about his mentality that's shifted in the
Mhm.
last year or so, where he seems more sure of himself.
Mhm.
And he seems to not just take himself seriously, but now, uh, through his actions, is demanding his everyone else
Mhm.
to take him seriously.
Yep.
He's not shying away from conflict. He's getting in there and he's getting his hands dirty. I respect it.
It was like I think there was the movie, the Kurt Russell movie Miracle. You need to
Mm,
play where basically I have no choice but to keep you here. And that's kind
okay.
of where his attitude is right now, where it's like, I'm going to put you in a position where you're going to have to keep me here no matter what. And I think that fight is both binding the team and also dividing a little bit, because now I think the players are a little more nervous about their jobs, maybe a little bit,
You
and
think
it's
so? Oh yeah, that's true, because even Hannes is this is twice now we've seen Hannes pull a shift at left back.
yep.
Which
And
is
I think the team has a different mentality where it's not about growth, it's about expectation and a little bit, maybe even I would say a little bit of fear. where they
Yeah.
know that their jobs are not secure. And it lights a little bit of a fire under your ass when you have that mentality there.
Hey, the stakes, right?
Yep. Oh,
Without
yeah.
stakes makes you perform better.
Hmm.
The looming threat of something makes you perform better. It improves the final product of something.
Yes.
And none of the there was, I hate to beat a dead horse. Munson, right?
Hmm.
Munson last season. At no point did he feel like his starting position was in jeopardy, really,
Hmm.
because Nick kept being vocal about his faith in him and all this. Like, you can have faith in the guy and still do what's best for the team.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Um, so there was no fear, I think, for any of the guys, which is why I think
Hmm.
it started to kind of unravel as the season started to trickle out and we got into playoffs. I don't know if we really hit our stride going into playoffs. We stuttered towards the end there.
But you still took down
Um,
a sixth place team
say
with the
again?
youngest roster in the league.
Say again?
You still took down a third ranked team,
Yeah.
with the youngest roster in the league. So you got to give that a little bit to that. Yes. I mean, I
Wait.
think
What team was this? Was this Cincinnati?
FC Cincinnati was third.
We got lucky. Come on.
There's an old saying that says,
Did we dominate them? Did we dominate them?
no, there's an old saying, though, that says luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And I think in this case here, they got what they needed out of it. And yes, maybe in another, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 best of threes, it might have gone the other way. Yes. But in this case here, the results are what the results were. And they still got to the next round with the youngest roster in the league. Yes, it was a bad end there. I was talking to Rich Mancuso last night about this, that there was a definite vibe. And I think you may remember that after NYCFC lost that match, you could kind of tell the change was coming. Like there were
Yeah,
people that
you
were
told
not
me
going
this.
to be there next season. You just felt like it. And that's where, I think Nick Cushing was talking about, the future is bright. There's a lot to be excited for this team. And nowhere in there was there anything of just like, I'll be there with you, So I think he
Yeah.
knew he was done at that point too.
Oh wow.
Hey, Man City women, reach out to me. So, but anyway,
Yeah, and just one last credit to
sure.
Julian. Great game.
Oh yeah,
Great
Julian
game from
Fernandez is
him.
really starting to come around too.
Yeah. It's funny what happens when you actually give these guys minutes, huh?
Oh God, yeah.
Uh, but Julian, Alex spoke to him yesterday about first the assist and now the goal, both of his awkward, his off foot, and it got me thinking about a conversation we were having about like what's his landing place, right? Because we all know about the pipelines, right? There's a
Mhm.
pipeline of if you're, when you're a winger, you either stay a winger or you evolve into a striker or you evolve into a cam. Thank you, Depro
Appreciate you,
Sport.
man. Be good.
Um, or you evolve into a cam, right? Like,
Mhm.
so like if you're a winger and you evolve into a cam, it's because you're very tech in tight spaces, you have good vision, you're a great passer, obviously, all that stuff, great chance creator. If you evolve into a striker, it's because you're a great finisher, you build is perfect for it, and all that stuff. I thought Julian's future it was not to stay on the wing,
Mhm.
right? I felt like because of his height, that he would, and because of his finishing ability, that his ideal spot would be at striker. But the lack of pace, he's not very physical, maybe not. But towards the end of last season, he started just free roaming,
Mhm.
unchecked. And that freedom allowed him to demonstrate this new ability in like he would pick up the ball in these really tight spaces and make really good snap decisions, whether it was to retain possession or to progress it, right?
Mhm.
Or be dangerous. And it made me start to see him as kind of like, wait, might he be a cam? Right? And then last night in the presser, Alec, oh no, someone asked Pascal about Julian and is it his position to lose?
Mhm.
And somewhat of his exact words were, um, it would be his position to lose if it was his position.
Mhm.
Those were the words he said. And the way I took that as was he doesn't see Julian staying as a winger.
You're right. I think so. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because to my knowledge, that's exactly the words he said. It would be his position to lose if it was his position, right? And I don't take that. I don't take that as he's not starter quality yet. Because if he wasn't, he wouldn't have been starting. He wouldn't have been giving him starts, right? Maybe he's not a 90-minute player, but he's definitely starter quality, right? He's played very well so far. But the wording of it felt more like I have other plans for Julian. And we're all gonna see it as the season wears on. Maxi's the only cam on the squad.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And Hannes he can pull a ship that cam, but he's much more of a transition cam. But I think I made this analogy to you. I was like, to me, there's two different types of cams. There's the Michael Vicks, the who's the kid from the Chiefs?
Mahomes.
The quarterbacks that are mobile quarterbacks that they prefer to be out in space on the run. Yeah, you know what I mean. And then there are the quarterbacks who operate best in the pocket, and that's their safe space, right? They're most dangerous in the pocket. And I think it's the same thing with cams. I think there are cams who operate best when they can, receive the ball upright, head up, assess the situation and all of that. And then there are cams who want to get downhill and want to hit on the break. You're lucky if you find a cam who can do both, right? You're blessed. But I think most playmakers are one or the other, more one than the other. And Hannes is a downhill cam, in my opinion. He's a mobile cam. He's a guy who, he's your playmaker on the break. But in possession, when you're trying to break down a low block, I don't think so. I don't think he's beating a man. I don't think he's weaving in between three guys. I don't think he's breaking a line, multiple lines of press with a pass. I don't think he's doing that. But maybe Julian. Julian might be that. So keep an eye out for potential lineups where Maxi's a little tanked and he can't play. And then you have Julian starting in the middle, Hannes on the right, Ojeda on the left. There's some version of that, Yeah. But sorry to keep you up so late.
No, dude, don't even listen. I love the analysis. I love the takeaway on that. But But no, I figured basically appreciate it as always. So, but no, I think honestly this was really good. I appreciate the time. By the way, who do you write for? By the way, I just want to point that out. It's already down there, but
I write for Five Borough Footy. You can find us at Instagram at Five Borough Footy, spelled out exactly like that. We have some videos in the works. One video we're going to be doing is about a guy we played yesterday, Carlos Heel. He, in my opinion, would be an amazing addition to the team. It would require making space. I don't know where. I have opinions, but it's not my place to say just yet, or to give away too much. But yeah, we're going to be putting out a couple videos in the next couple weeks with some good content for you guys.
awesome.
Man, thank you for allowing me a shameless plug, man.
Dude, no shameless plugs are not allowed here.
I come here for football conversation, not plugs, man. This isn't Turkey.
Dude, listen. You put the work in to get to where you were. You have every right.
Missed that joke. That joke went straight over your head.
What? All right, one more time.
I said I came here for the banter, for the conversation, not the plugs. This isn't Turkey. You see?
What do you know?
Could you do the line?
What's that?
Muhammad, if a man wants to be called Muhammad Ali.
By the way, I just want to point out, Coming to America is my all-time favorite comedy of all time. Second would probably be the Galaxy because the sister act. But yeah, a man has a right to, and also I'm Jewish, I'm allowed to. A man has the right to change his name to whatever he wants. If he wants to be called Muhammad Ali, God damn it, it's a free country. He can call himself Muhammad Ali. Yes.
And on that, we can close out. We can close out on that.
So,
I love
like I said, I can get away with it. I'm Jewish on my mother's side.
That wasn't
But
even
yeah.
a Jewish guy. That was Eddie Murphy.
Well, I think the guy's name in the movie was like Saul, like Saul Goodman.
Oh
Or
yeah,
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, he was.
But yeah,
He
no, it
was
was Eddie
playing it.
Murphy, and it was, dude, that was just fine the way he did
Yeah,
that. You know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There was nothing good. Yeah, there's nothing crazy about that. But
Then he
yeah, then
starts
we
spoon.
could
That's a spoon. So
Coming to America. By the way, classic,
yes,
classic.
there
But
was no, there was never a sequel. No
I
sequel
just
ever
watched
happened.
Harlem Nights.
Hmm.
I just watched Harlem Nights the other day. Classic.
Yeah, Harlem Nights. You know, there's a lot of Eddie Murphy movies that he started to make after a while that he
Hmm.
just kind of just wanted to do. You know, and
Yeah,
we forget
yeah.
all of it. I mean, even Axel Foley wasn't bad, but Bowfinger I always found to be a little bit under the radar with him and Steve Martin.
Bowfinger, I enjoy. But was Bowfinger that wasn't the space one, was it?
No, that was the one where Steve Martin is trying to direct it.
Pluto Nash
Yeah,
was the space one. I
yeah,
liked
no.
Pluto Nash. It was
You know
weird,
what?
but
That's okay.
I
You know,
liked
there's
it.
people in this world that like the movie Jack and Jill with Adam Sandler. So, you know, we're Deuce
Yeah,
Bigelow.
there's some movies that I love that I know are bad. That are like objectively bad movies.
We will probably hit that on Tails at some point. Tomorrow
Love
is
that.
Jeopardy, by the way. I want to point that out. Although I haven't.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
so
down.
Kyle's finishing that up, and he's going to send it over to me in a little bit. But
Nice.
yeah. So, but yeah, we'll talk our our movies that are guilty pleasures. Mine is like probably The Room or Samurai
Oh my
Cop
God.
2.
I've never seen clips from The Room. I just saw it today. I just watched
It is so
the roof
good.
the
I
the,
did not get there. It's not
the
true.
rooftop the rooftop scene, and he's
Mm-hmm.
like, I did
Dude,
not, I did
did
not.
not.
And he goes, "Oh hi, what did he?" Let's see, I can't remember what the
We,
line is.
we
Oh
have a
hi,
video.
baby.
It's weird. We have a video on Instagram of Melissa Benoist from Supergirl actually doing the
Yeah,
rooftop scene. That thing has like 19,000 likes on her Instagram right now.
dude.
You know, because I just see it all the time. I just keep seeing updates. It's like this person liked it because everybody just loves the fact that Supergirl did the scene from the roof. It's like, oh hi Mark, and they
I
all laugh at the end of it. But yeah, oh god,
no, but
that
dude,
movie is so great.
for me, it's like it's such a case that like I'm watching it and I'm looking at him like he's convinced he's acting his ass off.
Yeah, and like, yeah. And if you ever watch like The Disaster Artist or read the book is actually the book
Uh,
delves into it a lot more. You know, the book that Greg Sestero, who played Mark in the movie,
yeah,
it really delves deep into like the guy's psyche, and you almost feel a little
I'm
sad for
sure.
him in a way. But
I mean, that's kind of one of the feelings that's rolling around to me when I
yep,
watch these clips. Like I feel kind of bad because I know like his need or his desire to be a good actor
hmm
is honest and is wholesome. It's it's not based in anything sinister. So it's like I feel kind of bad that's the final product. But at the same time, who am I to feel bad? He took a risk. He created something. He put himself out there, So
and he's made a
I'm
lot of
also
money
I'm
in the
also
process because of it too.
exactly. I'm watching it in admiration because it's like you really could just make the thing
Yep, and yeah,
and be
we
fine.
will do. I think that's a good idea for a subject after this week though, not tomorrow. So,
Okay.
but
All right,
all
brother.
right, sir.
Good
So.
talking.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm Scott Schertzen from Streampunk Soccer and Streampunk Entertainment and all the other Streampunks that are out there. That is Mr. Haylon Haru from Five Borough Footy. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Drop a comment in the question or comments in the questions down there of whatever it is you guys want us to cover, whatever you want insight on, or whatever basically you honestly want to bitch us out and then you disagree on. That's okay too. So anyway, thanks as always. Take care. Stay awesome.
Good night.